morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the lounge. As you see by the title, probably sounds like a weird title, but let me take a few moments to show you how I got there. I got there because I was looking for content, and I was looking for content. It was just mainly a lot of political stuff. You got the regular ratchet stuff and all of that, and I wanted to talk something a little more in depth, but couldn't really find anything, and everything was mainly political. So I'm not a fan of talking about that stuff, right? And if you watch the content that I do, you kind of get just where I stand at. I guess how I approach politics, just to give a little background, I approach it from a practical standpoint. So pretty much that means like I look at the common sense of things, or I compare it to like you know street stuff, because to me it's not that much different. Like street stuff, politics. To me, it's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is the 4 or 5 syllable words, and you're not standing on a corner. That's the only difference. So, and this is why I mean I don't like talking about it. I just try to before I just try to upload a short on my interface, and I couldn't size it right because I want to show you like a comment. So what I'll do for the sake of progressing, getting it done quicker, I am going to play the audio of it. It's one of my best shorts up to date as far as view count and things like that. But this is for content reasons, and we'll get to what can be off-putting about talking about politics and this kind of stuff. So let me do this, and let me do this.
People, Donald Trump was inaugurated earlier today. A lot of people are upset that Martin Luther King wasn't there. Were you surprised to see that he wasn't at the inauguration?
Yeah, I was.
Why?
I mean, you talked about Martin Luther King not being there? Because today is his day. You see what I'm saying? There was like a day set aside for him.
So he had things to do.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So I did a reaction to it, right? And where the reaction came from was more like wow, what's the direction we heading in? Like we don't read, we well, I talked about that with the last video, but I really think we have an issue with not reading and not researching and things like that. So the view count did really good. There was comments, but there was one comment that stuck out to me, right? Now, I how I operate is I like whatever the subject is of the short, I would prefer people to keep the scope of the conversation, So I saw this comment. I really couldn't address it because right after I put this short out, that's when I got really sick and all that kind of stuff. So I had no voice. I couldn't really address it. But this is the comment that was in my comment section, right? It was actually probably only one that I commented, right? That I answered back. And as you can read, it says a black gay dude. So I think what he meant to say that I was gay or something like that, right? Let me put it on real quick so we can see. So, right? I did that short that people don't realize because it sounds more clearer right now as I speak. And my other shorts I normally sound more clear. But that particular one, I tried to escape and get away with using my Invisaligners in that short. So when I try not to record with the Invisaligners, and the reason why, I'll show you real quick for 2 seconds. So I hurt these real quick. I know it's kind of off cool, but I you might not see them, so you don't notice. But if I say things like 61, 62, anything with S's is gonna make me sound like I have a crazy list, right? So, excuse me one second. I want to make sure you understand what I'm saying. So, when I was saying it's a skit or whatever, I had my Invisalign in, so of course it's slurred. So, obviously, when you have a slur, blah blah blah, there's certain vocal that I guess puts you in the Skittle Squad, the Alphabet Community, whatever you want to call it, right? Let's go back to the comment again, right? So I really think instead of him doing dot dot dot, what he probably should have really put if he understood the English language was a semicolon. A semicolon is you finish one thought and you start a new thought. So, second thought I'm assuming is MAGA really loves you. What does that? What does that even mean, bro? Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do we? I said, okay, right. Obviously, he made a judgment off of less than a 60-second clip. So, but that's how people are nowadays. If it's not a TikTok format or whatever, you think you know everything. So, let's break it down even further. You've been cooked. So I asked the question, how am I cooked if I didn't do the interview? I was just being ashamed of what was being in the interview. That's what that was. Now, see, just so people can understand me, that's not in my family, my close friends. Things like that, I usually go in. I say things that are probably very disrespectful, right? And I was going to say them here tonight, right? But how I'll also operate, just so that people know in the future, you make comments. I don't just jump right off. I do a little research and find out who you are and what you stand for and everything else like that. Because I like to come back at you intelligently. So, what I did was I took his name and I put it in the YouTube search bar, and this is what we got here. Yes, Bryson Johnson. First off, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a content creator or not, but as you look at the subscribers, right? And he created a playlist of 16 things. Now, right? What's the first thing that you see? Some barbershop stuff, right? So, I can dare. You know what? You know what? I ain't going to even say it. You know why I'm not going to say it? Because how disrespectful I can be, I'll probably get flagged. So we're going to leave it alone. But it's people like that make it hard to have those hard conversations and to actually have an intelligent conversation. Because I looked at the content that he watches or whatever. I think it would be safe to say that I shouldn't have a battle of wits with somebody that's half-armed, because that's not fair. Because clearly he probably doesn't know what he's talking about and he wants attention. Now, what I tell a lot of people is not all attention is good attention, right? But see, that's part of it. I just wanted to show you a little something of sometimes how I can look at things and be like, what the hell? Because I had nothing to... Every other comment had to do with that interview situation. That's why, if you notice, let me go back to it just one more time. That's why I put a question mark. I wanted him to elaborate on what he was talking about because I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Everybody else's comment I understood. Every yo, there was one person that put just emojis and I understood what they said. How do I understand emojis, but I don't understand what you saying? But then again, like I said, I looked at his playlist and I saw everything I need to know. So, like that's enough of that. Like, like I just wanted to, I guess, get that off my chest a little something. But also, um, I talked about politics before. Um, I think to me, and I guess you know how when you talk to like your favorite musician, your favorite rapper or whatever, and you ask them what their favorite rap album is and what their worst one is, and the public may not agree with what your take is, but my favorite video that has to do with the scope of what I'm talking about today is when I said, why is my politics being booked like a WWE match card, right? And just as a wrestling fan, I just, to me, it was a ground ball because I was able to talk about something that a big fan of and to use politics within it. And when you watch that video, if you go back and watch that video, and I suggest you do, a little plug. That's my personal. It is my personal favorite because the way I spoke about it, I also gave a little back workings on how professional wrestling works a little bit and the similarities. And I believe people learn in simile. Like a good amount of people learn in simile, visual, things of that nature. I I just once I did that video, I just figured, like that was enough. That was what was need to be said. I don't feel much needs to be said because here I am. But I guess what also, right, to get to my quick thoughts, I guess hot take or whatever, is this guy with the green card. See, that shows you how much I don't even know dude's name. I don't, right? Everybody's crashing out. The weather's starting to break, so you know what that means. Here comes the outrage. Here comes the protest. Like, I'm very simplistic. I'm a person. You want me to believe in your cause? Do a protest in a blizzard. Do it when it's -10 degrees. I might listen to you then. Like when it's summertime, it's easy to stand on. It's easy to take a side when you're at home and you chilling or you hiding. You know what I'm saying? Like it's easy to take a side, but like to really stand on business, right? And I'm not gonna get into that whole Israel Palestine thing because if you understand the history, they've been beefing before probably my great 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 grandfather grandmother was even thought of. Like we probably weren't. Most of the people that are alive today and our parents and grandparents and in some cases great grandparents weren't even an apple in their parents' eyes before they've been beefing forever. So it's not my thing. But right when I say people learning similes, right? So you got people debating that he had a green card, they revoked it, blah blah blah. Right? My take is this: you can't come to somebody's house and put your feet on the glass table. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. Like that You know, people have the right to say what they say, but there's consequences behind what you say. Freedom of speech, but there's no such thing as freedom of consequence, right? And it's one of those things. How they say in the street, shouldn't have been talking shit. I don't know what to tell you. Like you know you know how you are. You know how you get down. You know how somebody's gonna have, they call it the pissing contest, if you will, and here we are. And like I said, people are outraged, blah blah blah. But it's like you gotta ask the people that are outraged. I'll say to you, let me. It's kind of like, let me ask you a question. If you outrage and somebody that doesn't believe what you believe in comes into your house, kicks up dust, talks all crazy in your house, what you gonna do to them? You gonna let them stay there? I don't think so. And this is what I mean by like you're not really standing on business, because if that shoe was on the other foot, the things were reversed, your answer would probably be similar to the answer that's going on right now. That's why I can't take it seriously. You know, is it unfortunate? Could be. It could be unfortunate depending on how you look at it, but um, it's crazy that and it's crazy how I reference my family lately, because they're in my subscribers now, so they do watch me, and I guess I just reflect on the things that maybe sometimes they don't realize I remember, or whatever. But I remember being a kid, and my mom had this sign on the door, and it wasn't fancy. She printed it out on a piece of paper, and it was put on the front door before we walked out into the world. And it said, "You choose the behavior, you choose the consequence." Right? Now, I kind of wish nowadays my mom would make something like it. Like, especially nowadays, you can make something more fancy and whatever. But the one thing that always stuck out to me, even back then, when I was a kid and younger and all of that stuff, that why did she put it by the front door? It could have been put in the living room, even in the bedroom, but she put it by the front door. And I think the message behind it was that when you go into the world, whatever behavior you do, there's consequences that come along with that. And I think that's why she strategically put it at the front door, so it was the last thing that we saw walking into the world, you know. And I always like that saying. My sister loves that saying. She runs with it probably harder than I do, but I think we, as me and her, we definitely agree with that statement. Like, we might not see eye to eye on everything, but that's the one thing we eye to eye on. Because it's like whatever you choose, you get what you get. So, and it seems like this situation that I'm talking about with the Columbia University thing and all that, it just seems to me it's a lack of accountability. Like, it made me question, it's like, does this guy really believe what he says, or he's just talking shit because he was in a position where he ain't got to get on the front lines and fight and stand on business because he's thousands of miles away? So does that make him brave, or does that make him a coward? That's probably the real question that I can probably freely ask that, because people know my background. I can freely ask that, because, like I said, it's easy to talk the talk when you're safe, when nobody can come at you, nobody could really challenge you the way that really be challenged. Yeah, people can talk, but would you do it over there? Would you go into the other country and say what you say and stand on business? That's the real question. Are you willing? You want to fly? You want to fly that flag? Or you willing to go over there and fly that flag with the weaponry, with the cutlery, and do what you got to do. Probably not, because I see pictures of him. I see what he looks like. He ain't about that life. Not even on a good day. And that's your leader. Mm. Like I said, I don't care either way, as far as I'm concerned. But just keep in mind, be careful who you follow, because a lot of people be following a lot of cowards. A lot of these people are cowards. Like even this guy, even this guy right here. And you know why I say he's a coward? One, when I asked the question, he didn't follow up. Number two, he ain't got no picture, no nothing. So what does that tell me? He don't believe in what he says. And that's why I don't like politics. I don't like talking about politics, because people are not willing to really stand for the cause like they think they are. When you break it down, and you put it in, when it's go time, when they say the rubber meets the road and all of that good stuff. So with that being said, I just felt I had to bring you some content. Um, this this little rant could have made some people upset, and that's not the goal. My goal is just to explain. I guess it's more of how my mind runs it and works with it. And to me, situation dictates. That's a big military thing. Si- Different situations for different things. So therefore, that's just that particular situation. You ask me about a different situation, I'll probably have a different take. Like my uncle Antonio. Shout out to him. I need to call him. It's been a while. He's a very practical man, and he approached things from a practical standpoint, and that's why I always love having conversations with him, because it comes with a very practical understanding. And I just feel that with that practical understanding, it allows you to actually have intelligent conversations without the name calling, getting in your fifis or feelings, whatever you want to call it, to actually have an intellectual conversation and to challenge your thought process. Because it's easy to believe what you believe in, but with opposition meets opportunity sometimes. You know what I mean? And like I said, I try to steer away from politics or whatever. What do you guys think? I mean, think I should talk more about it? Should I? Hmm. I mean, content is limited. Work on some things. I think I got a couple of book reviews I'm putting together, because I like to read, expand my mind, things like that. With that being said, thanks for listening. Um, have a good night, good morning, wherever you are in the world. Safe travels. Get to your location, destination safely, and have a good night. Thank you.